Welcome to Werezilla's Retrospective. I'm your host, Werezilla. Unfortunately, I feel like I might have misled you a bit during our last video. See, I told you we'd be talking about a piece of literature, but technically this is not a novel nor a short story, but rather a screenplay that got the hardcover treatment. Maybe it's not fair for me to review a script instead of the play it's based on, but since I didn't fly over to Britain to see Harry Potter and the Cursed Child on stage, it's probably for the best that the script was given a hardcover release worldwide. My local Barnes & Noble had the same kind of midnight release with Harry Potter-themed games, trivia, and treats that books 5, 6, and 7 had, so I guess it's only fair I go to release and read the book myself. With some hesitation. See, Harry Potter was a giant part of my childhood, but I wasn't one of those people that were clamoring for more after the Deathly Hallows was finished. And it wasn't because I was burned out or anything. On the contrary, I felt that, well, the overarching story definitively ended. Which isn't to say there aren't other stories that could be told. Remember, while Harry's efforts to stop Voldemort were going on, there was a full-on war between his forces and the rest of the wizarding world. A lot of named characters, minor and major alike, lost their lives, and the rest have the scars to show. Showing the ramifications of that is a story in and of itself. Additionally, the last chapter of Deathly Hallows established that our heroes had settled down, formed families of their own, and their children had begun attending Hogwarts themselves. It would be a great way to show what a normal Hogwarts term is like when there's no looming threat of a dark wizard uprising. Which is the story the Cursed Child went with. However, I'm not sure that was the screenwriter's priorities when writing The Cursed Child. When this book came out, it was billed as the 8th Harry Potter story. But that was dishonest marketing, to say the least. In fact, it reads more like fan fiction. What do I mean by that? Well, let's find out. Let us begin. This could be entirely dependent on whether or not you're familiar with scripts, because this was not rewritten in novel form. This is the rehearsal script for the play. I didn't have any problems thanks to reading and writing scripts for plays and movies throughout high school and college, but I realize that doesn't apply to everyone. What's not a big deal for me might hinder someone else's ability to enjoy it. Anyway, on with the plot. We pick up where the aforementioned epilogue for Deathly Hallows left off. Harry is an Auror, married to Ginny, who is a writer for the Daily Prophet, and they have 3 kids, James, Albus, and Lily. But don't get used to James and Lily, they won't be important to the story. Ron and Hermione also got hitched, with Hermione having taken over as Minister of Magic, while Ron, has taken over Friend George's joke shop. Something tells me this version of Ron is based off the movies more than the books. And they have kids of their own, Molly and Rose. I don't know why I even mentioned Molly, since she doesn't have a role in the story, and Rose is woefully underused, but more on that later. By the way, there's been some criticisms of casting a black woman as Hermione when she's not described as such in the books, and is played by Emma Watson in the films. I don't care. Yeah, I know, I criticized this concept when I read the Harry Potter fanfiction on my channel, but this is not a deliberate edit to establish lore. It's just a casting choice in a play. Nobody cares what the race of a characters are in a stage play unless it's important to the story, like roots or something. Anyway, it's the middle child Albus's first year, and here he befriends a shy student named Scorpius, the son of Draco Malfoy. This already got my mind racing as to where the story was going. But then Scorpius brings up a rumor that's been going on around about him. See, the rumor is that he is not the son of Draco Malfoy, but rather, thanks to his mother using time travel, he is in fact the son of Lord Voldemort.
How sick could you get?
It would be one thing if Scorpius was just the victim of bullying because of his family's past association with Voldemort, but nope! Malfoy later confronts Harry about the rumors later in the story as well. Moving on, Albus is sorted into Slytherin against all odds, and then we start skipping through his first 3 years at Hogwarts. Wait, what? We see he's not exactly a prodigy at Quidditch like Harry was, he's not all that great at spells, he's not living up to his classmates' expectations of what the son of Harry Potter would be like, and his relationship with Rose is souring, and so is his relationship with Harry. Let me stop right here and say that this would make for a good story, but here's the problem. They are rushing it. This should happen over the course of the first 2 acts, not a single scene. And while all of Albus's problems are going on, Harry gets confronted by Amos Diggory, father of Cedric Diggory, begging Harry to bring his son back to life. See, it turns out during one of Harry's raids on a dark wizard's base, he found a prototype time turner. That doesn't work anything like the time turners of the past. See, previous time turners would send someone back in time, and then they would have to stay there until they caught up with the present. It was not a standard sci-fi time machine where you could just step in and out of history at your will. Albus overhears this and talks to Amos's niece Delphi about it. After a spat with Harry, because Albus is an emo teen at this point, he comes up with a plan. He, Scorpius, and Delphi will one-up his father by getting their hands on the Time Turner and prevent Cedric Diggory's death during the Triwizard Tournament. Albus and Scorpius get off the Hogwarts Express while en route, narrowly escaping the Trolley Witch, who transforms into a monster in an attempt to stop them. I don't know where that came from, but whatever. They and Delphi break into the Ministry and get their hands on the Time Turner. Oh, and I should probably point out they get in using Polyjuice Potion to disguise themselves as Harry, Ron, and Hermione. You would think that with Hermione now Minister of Magic, she would set up security so that these three wouldn't be able to do the same trick that the original trio used to get in during the events of Deathly Hallows, but what do I know? Also, while disguised as Ron, Albus distracts the real Hermione, who is his aunt in case you forgot, by making out with her and suggesting they have another baby. Now, before we continue, let me ask you, have you heard this time travel plot before? If so, then you know Albus and Scorpius' plan is not going to work. Surely enough, they disarm Cedric during the first task, you know, the one with the dragon. They're lucky he didn't die sooner. And when they return to the present, Rose doesn't exist anymore because Ron and Hermione never got married, and Albus is now in Gryffindor now. You know, maybe if Rose was in on the plan and had gone along with Albus and Scorpius, you know, forming their own trio like the original heroes, I would probably care. But instead, it's a lost opportunity. So they try again, this time ensuring Cedric fails during the second task. At least they're doing something that wouldn't get him killed. But that only makes things worse. Brace yourselves, because this is just silly. Apparently, failing the second task made Cedric so bitter that he joined the Death Eaters, and during the Battle of Hogwarts, killed Neville Longbottom, which in turn means Voldemort's Snake Nagini was never killed, he never lost his final Horcrux, Harry died, and now Voldemort rules over the world. And Albus no longer exists, so Scorpius has to sort it all out with Ron, Hermione, and Snape so he can set things right. Let me ask you another question. After hearing me describe all that, how much of that sounds like something that would happen in fanfiction? The answer is all of it. Fanfiction writers like what-if scenarios, and time travel is an easy way to show it off. But since time travel doesn't work like this in the original setting, the writers of the play had to contrive a way to get their butterfly effect storyline working by just saying the time turner has been altered in some way. And you want to know the worst part about all of this? This time travel stuff takes place over the course of 2 whole acts. That's half of the damn story! And because there's no real character development for Albus and Scorpius, nor is there any plot progression in these segments, that means we basically spend half the play wasting our fucking time! Whatever, so Scorpius fixes the timeline and we're back to where the story began. And Albus and Scorpius are understandably in trouble. But we still have a whole act to go and Delphine is missing. Harry goes to see Amos, who reveals that he doesn't actually have a niece. Uh-oh. It's here where Delphi captures Albus and Scorpius, killing another student along the way. Yeah, Harry will try to compare this to Cedric's meaningless death, saying he didn't know Cedric all that well the same way Albus didn't know this student, but it kind of falls flat when we barely know the character. So Delphine takes Albus and Scorpius along with her to the third task of the Triwizard Tournament, this time in an attempt to kill Cedric early, but ironically, Cedric ends up saving the 2 boys from her. Angered but unwilling to give up, Delphine leaves the boys behind in the past, which doesn't make any sense with the new rules they made up, and travels to the night Voldemort killed Harry's parents. See, it turns out Delphi wants to prevent Voldemort's fall because... Oh, you got to be kidding me. I think this might actually be the dumbest plot point in the entire story. Remember those rumors about Scorpius being Voldemort's kid? Well, it turns out Voldemort and Bellatrix Lestrange really did have a child. And that child? That cursed child? It's Delphine. Yeah, just go ahead and play the clip. Let's count the ways in which that's stupid. 1. Voldemort planned on living forever thanks to his Horcruxes, so why would he have a child to carry on his legacy? 2. Voldemort did not feel, nor did he understand the concept of love, so a child would just be an inconvenience for him. 3. When did this happen? Delphine said she was born before the Battle of Hogwarts and hidden away by Lestrange's husband, but that's stretching it. 4. After everything Voldemort did, all the people he killed and suffering he caused, why would Delphine want it back? Regardless of whether or not she is his biological child. It doesn't help that Delphi has not been characterized at any point prior to this, so it's hard to say why she would think this is a good idea. 5. Why did she even need Albus and Scorpius for this? She could have gotten the time turn on her own and skipped all this crap with Cedric. 6. Going to the night Harry's parents were killed, and trying to stop Voldemort's fall there, will just ensure she herself will not exist, making her attempts to reunite with her dear old dad futile. Man, Delphine's not right in the head. If that was the story's intention, I'd call it the inevitable result when your parents are two very evil and messed up people. Fortunately, Albus has a plan to get help from his father. See, earlier in the play, Harry tried to fix his relationship with his son by giving Albus the same blanket he was wrapped in when he was given to the Dursleys as a baby. He leaves a message with the blanket telling Harry that he and Scorpius are trapped in the past. Oh, and how does Harry and company rescue his son? It turns out Malfoy has another Deus Ex Machina time turner. Of course he does. I will say this scene where Harry and Malfoy reconcile due to their children becoming friends is pretty good, though. Shame it had no meaning in this story. So Harry, Ron, Hermione, Ginny, and Malfoy pick up Albus and Scorpius and arrive in 1981, the night Harry's parents were killed. As you can imagine, Delphi is no match for 4 battle-hardened wizards, and Malfoy, and is defeated. She begs Harry that she just wants to see her father, but that kind of falls short because of the whole, Voldemort thing. Harry sticks around to watch his parents murder, and everyone else sticks around to support him. This is a really strange scene, I must admit. So the play ends with everyone back in the present, Delphine's in Azkaban, Harry and Albus mend their relationship, and Scorpius works up the courage to ask out Rose, though he gets rejected. I wasn't even aware he had a thing for her. Most of his interactions with Albus gave me the impression Albus was the one Scorpius had a thing for. Reading The Cursed Child was a strange experience, and not just because it was a script. Like I said, I'm familiar with scripts and how they work, which is why I was able to move past the format and look at the plot and characters. And unfortunately, it stumbles. Remember that each Harry Potter book takes place over the course of a single year, allowing for a lot of character interaction, plot developments, and lore establishment. The Cursed Child takes place a little over the course of 4, and a lot is skipped over. Harry's estranged relationship with Albus, the fallout between Albus and his classmates as he becomes more bitter about living in Harry's shadow, it feels like we are missing a lot. It's easy to forget Albus even has siblings or cousins given they're barely in it. You might have noticed J.K. Rowling's name is on the cover of the book in bigger writing than the actual screenwriter and director, John Tiffany and Jack Thorne. But I have to wonder just how much influence she had on this, because some bits genuinely do feel like they were written by Rowling. If I could give attention to you, Minister, I would. Keeping hold of a time turn of all the stupidest things. In my defense, and in a bookcase. You kept it in a bookcase. It's almost laughable. And others don't. I have seen your son, Harry Potter. Seen him in the movements of the stars. You've seen him in the stars? I can't tell you where he is. I can't tell you how to find him. But you've seen something. You've divined something? There is a black cloud around your son. A dangerous black cloud. Around Albus? A black cloud that may endanger us all. You will find your son again, Harry Potter. But then you will lose him forever. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounded suspiciously like a fan of this series, but someone with different priorities than the original writer. Earlier, I said one of the most popular fan concepts is alternate universes where fictional events happen differently than they did in their original works. The extended time travel events show us such a thing, but they feel out of place, probably because time travel is not a prominent thing in the Harry Potter setting. As a result, it feels off. It feels like fan fiction. I can't point to a better example of this than the striking similarities The Cursed Child has with the most infamous Harry Potter fan fiction ever made. No, not becoming female, but rather its biggest influence, My Immortal. Mind you, this play has much more coherent dialogue, doesn't mention a single muggle band, and doesn't waste time on a love triangle, but boy does it meander around a lot, has a time travel focus in a franchise that doesn't put heavy emphasis on it in an attempt to fix a problem that involves Voldemort, and a character, Delphine, who the dialogue reveals has multicolored hair, wants to save Voldemort in some way, shape, or form. I'm sure this was an accident. Rowling, Tiffany, and Thorne probably don't even know My Immortal's a thing, but it's still very eerie. Maybe if this wasn't released as the 8th story with the same hardcover release that goes so far as to have the same font as the original series, then maybe some of the errors wouldn't be so egregious. Now, I would still want to see the play if a production of it came to Chicago or something, sure, but I wouldn't consider it Harry Potter 8. Here's hoping my first attempt at a book review is actually fun to watch. As for what we'll be talking about in June, well, unfortunately, I can't seem to find it. It's not charted on any map. Maybe I should go ask Nolan North. He might know what I'm looking for.
Get away from my godson.